So in this video, we're gonna compare the loop and recursion. So in a sense, these are two ways of repeating things. Okay, we know loop is repeat. We used a lot of loops to repeat things, and in a sense, we actually use this recursive function for repeating stuff. Okay, so what are repeated? Well, many function calls, right? So here in loop, many iterations. Right? In recursion or recursive function, many function calls. Okay? So in loop, using many iterations, we repeat. In recursive function, using many function calls, we repeat the stuff. Okay? So we naturally move on to the next iteration in while loop, right? Here, how do we, in the recursion, how do we go something like next iteration? Well, when you call itself again, right? So another function call. Another call is basically somehow moves on to the next stage. If sum3 calls sum2, well, there's another iteration. Okay? Well, sometimes, well, always, in a sense, you have to stop the loop. How do you stop the loop? This condition, right? Looping condition. So if the while condition is false, then the loop is started. Here, when does the recursion stop? Well, here, if case, right? If I is 1, you don't repeat the recursion. You don't call next iteration, that next another function. So that's basically no more function call. Okay. So the case of the argument where there's no more function call is made is called base case. Okay. So in base case, we stop the recursion and no more call. So you basically call back to the, returning stage. Well, what if like there's no, what if the while condition is always true? We have infinite loop. Right? Likewise, if there's no base case, or somehow there's something wrong with the base case, you can have infinite recursion. Okay, so infinite recursion is possibility, and don't do that. Okay, now let's think about each iteration. So each iteration, if you see, what is different? In a sense, I is different, right? I is increment us. Is I is integer and almost the same, but it's slightly different. In each iteration, you increment I so that eventually you reach the the case where the condition is false, and then you stop the loop. Okay. In each iteration. Okay. Index, in a sense, I is different. Right? And here, what is different? Input. Input is different. Okay? Eventually, when the input reaches the base case, you stop the recursion. Okay? And here, other than that, the job of iteration is really small piece. Okay, just add I to total T. Does that make sense? And also in the sum, each function call, what each function actually takes care of is really small piece. Here, what is it? Add I to sum, whatever the sum I minus 1 would be. So add I to sum I minus 1. So like iteration, what the function, each function call takes care of is really small. Okay, so in a sense, although the structure is a little bit different, there's like a lot of similarities, and why you see why this recursive function actually, is good for repeating things.